Mission Impossible Fallout is directed by Christopher McQuarrie and stars Rebecca Ferguson, Tom Cruise, Simon Pegg, and Bing Ramos. Okay, so like always, today we'll start off with the good. The good in this movie. Tom Cruise and his supporting cast was great. I love Tom Cruise. I love Luther, which is Bing Ramos. I think that's how you say it. Ramos. No, it's Bing Ramos. It's not Ramos. Sorry. But his supporting cast was really good. The bad guy was good. The bad guy was Superman, by the way, in this movie. And I really like the supporting cast. Also, not to mention, all the stunts in this movie are real, which I have to give some real credit to Tom Cruise for doing all these crazy stunts. If you guys saw in the trailer, he jumped out of a cargo plane in the trailer. That was actually real. That was filmed. The cameraman was a skydiver who was skydiving with Tom Cruise. That was real. Him jumping from building to building was real. And all the stunts looked amazing, were amazing, and felt amazing. When I was sitting in this theater watching this movie was very riveting. We're gonna go into spoilers here, by the way. When I was in the one scene where Tom Cruise was hanging on the thing in the helicopter, like, if you remember in the trailers, he was like hanging onto the rope with the little white thing at the bottom of it, but in the movie, he falls. Like, he tries to get up on the helicopter, and he falls all the way down, and he hangs on to it just at the last second. When I was watching that scene, my heart dropped with Tom Cruise. Another thing I really like about this movie is it seems like the director has some respect for his audience. And what I mean by that is you really have to pay attention when you're watching this movie. And that's not really a complete issue for me, but I really like it when directors do that because it's not just mindless punching and hitting. It feels like the director really does care for what he's doing, and you don't get a lot of movies like that these days. A lot of movies are just mindless punching and hitting. Okay, so now let's get into the bad. A lot of the issues I have with this movie are very, very minor. Keep that in mind when I'm talking about them. Nothing that I'm talking about is really, really serious. These are just the very, very minor gripes I had with the movie. Okay, number one on the bad side is the trailers. I felt like the trailers gave a little bit too much away in this movie. Like when I was sitting in my seat and watching this movie and they were briefing the next scene, like, oh, we need to kidnap this guy when he goes on a certain intersection or whatever. I was like, oh, that's the part when he goes flying into the river in the trailers. So I feel like the trailers gave a little bit too much of this movie away. Also, another thing about this movie is this is more of a joke than an actual issue I have with this movie. But it seems like Tom Cruise never gets tired in this movie. Like, if you see in the trailers, he's running from building to building, in these epic chase scenes. But this guy, he's running at full sprint for at least 5 minutes, maybe even more than that, and he doesn't get tired. He doesn't slow down or anything. And I know that in between these scenes, when they do certain cuts and things like that, Tom Cruise has to take a 15-minute break, drink some water, and get ready for the next one, because he is literally running at a full sprint. What the freak just happened? Where am I? One of the other things in this movie, I was talking about the helicopter scene earlier. Again, spoiler alert coming up. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible, then just skip 30 seconds ahead or whatever. But anyway, so what Tom Cruise does is I won't explain the entire scene because that's just going to take too long. But what it gets down to is this helicopter is hanging onto this hook, right? And the helicopter tumbles off of this cliff, and the the hook hooks on to this rock, and it's holding the weight of a helicopter. And the first time, like, you know, it's hanging on a rock. Okay, you can't even see what I'm doing there. So, but it's hanging on a rock. Like, the hook is hanging on a rock and hanging the weight of a helicopter. Which the weight thing isn't that big of a deal, but the actual chances of the hook like flying around and like hooking like that, like the chances of that are really, really, really low. And then obviously, you know, the thing breaks for some tension. And when it comes back, it goes all the way to the edge of the cliff and stops again. And I know that it's action movie logic and it's not supposed to make sense, but, you know, this is an action movie, so I let go a lot of things in this movie. But this one I'm not going to let go because it happening one time isn't that big of a deal. Like, if the hook hooked onto a rock one time, then it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But the fact that it happened twice, like, the chances of it happening are just, they're too low for it to have tension, if you know what I'm saying. Like I said, those gripes were very minor. I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. It is probably the best action movie of the year so far. If I had to rate it, it would definitely be a 10 out of 10 because I really, really like this movie, and I'm not going to let my very minor gripes take even like half a point off. Like, I don't feel like my issues with the movie are that big of a deal to the point where they even deserve half a point. So the final rating for this movie is extra saucy. This was a great movie, and I love the action. If you like this review, then go check out my Equalizer 2 review, or my Ant-Man and the Wasp, or really any of my reviews. And that's going to be it for me. Till next time.